All right, call this meeting to order at 6:30. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I approve the agenda as presented.
I got a question.
Oh, let's get a second. Okay, now go, Bob.
I asked for the police department to be on the agenda last meeting. I don't see it here. Am I missing something?
Nope,
We're
but we,
missing the.
but we can add it. It's
The clerk. is missing. There's also. Roadway permits were not on here, so. Just a reminder to go back.
With the warrants.
I have those.
I have one more thing that I'd like to bring up, the meeting that Bob and I went to for the Windsor County. I just want like 5 minutes just to talk about
Okay.
it.
So I will need a motion to amend the agenda to add the Windsor County Select Board meetup, the police department, overweight permits. I want to add the street sweeping. Is there anything else?
So moved.
Yeah, I think that's it. So, that's your motion, Stuart?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
All those in favor of the amendment to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's that. And now, motion, now we can vote on approving the agenda as amended.
Aye.
Thank you, Larry.
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion? None? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Awesome. And we will put those in, any problem if we just stick those in after,
But as convenient.
after the Transportation Advisory Committee down there. Or as convenient. All right, public comment. Is anyone here for public comment?
Brian Salzman.
Oh, Brad, what do you got?
Trying to unmute. I was just wondering if you can speak to how the process is going for finding either a new town administrator and or finance manager.
We actually are in the process of trying to find a finance manager, and we have actually offered the position of town administrator to Ryan Britch, and he has accepted.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep. Further details are still pending as we work through that. Anyone else? No? Take your hand down, Brad. Or I'll be calling on you all night. Royalton Transfer Station, John.
So I've had one applicant, only one interest,
Only one.
so I'd like to hire him. I met with him the other day, checked his references.
He checks enough of the boxes for you. He
Yeah.
applied.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
mean,
the
he
skills.
works nights part-time and he has nothing to do during the day, so
That sounds just right.
he's looking to work, so. Like I said, it's Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. Well, I got a part-time guy on that works Tuesdays. He's retired, so he's there on Tuesday and. We're closed to the public on Thursday.
So that covers it for you.
So the three of us there on Thursday.
Any other questions for John?
Local gentleman or?
Yeah.
Down in Royalton, Bethel,
Royalton.
Royalton, good.
What's his name?
Joe, that Cam's dad.
Yeah,
Good, you've done that.
well, I didn't know if you had an actual question for him.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
On that stuff, lights, and
Well, can we approve his hire first?
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay,
How many hours again? I forget, John.
Up to 24.
I make a motion to approve John's choice of a new hiree.
Second?
Next week will be an extra day, cause we're going on vacation. so.
okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor of hiring John's choice, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? He's hired.
The lights, I forget her name, from Energy Efficient Vermont. She sent an email to Shaw Electric. Cause in order to see what there is for money out there for this, they have to know what type of light they're gonna install. So she reached out to Shaw Electric, just waiting to hear back from him. And as soon as she does, then she'll put some numbers together and be back to me with it. So, to see how much there is money from Energy Efficient.
I looked at the lights up there and, and we had some of those at the fair and they've all been replaced. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think
one's
it's a good
gone out, so I'm sure the rest aren't far behind.
Far behind, yeah. Well, yeah, and that over the long haul, the LEDs are gonna save money, so. Okey dokey. Anything else for John?
Anything else?
I'm
broken?
Yeah, really. Okay, let's wrap it up.
John, what are the hours of the landfill?
Tuesday, Wednesday. Or to the public, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 1. And I have been 7 to 2 on Saturday, but. This whole trailer thing, I've decided while spring cleanup's going on. We'll probably be closing at 1, cause we have the last 2 Saturdays. Just 'cause it's-
Well, part of that is you run out of space.
yeah, we
By
filled,
then,
like,
yeah.
last Thursday, we filled up 2 trailers.
Wow.
And I can only get 1 swapped on Friday. So, then Friday came and I was going into Saturday with a quarter of an empty trailer. And luckily MBI was in a very good mood and I sweet talked them and they swapped the trailer Saturday morning. So I was able to be open for the day. Otherwise, we would have been closed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I was there Friday morning, I guess I was there, and the tip floor was full, both sides.
Yep.
And he was just taking the trailer out to get more.
Where's the trash going?
Coventry.
Any more thoughts on restricting the traffic or the customers or?
I mean, I guess it all depends on how you wanna do that, because, as we all know, originally that place was built for the Alliance Towns. And somewhere down the road, it opened up to everyone, so. Do we, impose a non-member fee? Do we go back to just the Alliance Towns?
Well, you'd be the one that has to manage it, so
Right.
do you have any ideas on how hard that would be to?
No, I mean, it'd be pretty easy to redo some number cards and then, you'd have to show me your ID to get a number card that's a certain color. And if you don't have that color, then you're not in the alliance and you get imposed a fee.
But what would happen, do you think, financially, if you were to go back just to the Alliance Towns? I mean, we've got the thing, so it's in the red, the black now, not in the red,
Right,
so it'd be too bad to,
and that's probably happening because of.
The extra-
People that are
yeah,
coming in.
and
so.
you're, advance the prices to do and drop the different,
Well, I
pieces of
mean,
waste, so,
But if we cut down on the traffic, then we cut down on the trailers going out of there.
yeah,
So I mean,
so the cost of that,
it could even out.
yeah, okay.
You've also said before that we're the lowest around.
Yeah, everybody comes to the window and there's that it?
Yeah.
People are coming from New Hampshire to dump their stuff, so I
No
think that
kidding.
we should,
Really?
I
Yeah.
think we should be
So that, then,
only,
Yeah, we're definitely one
only,
of the cheapest.
then
Our
that does
area.
make it, so it is worth
And then
looking
the
at.
landfill, I just got word that they're gonna be charging per mattress now, $45.
Ooh.
So I'm working with Casella right now to find a recycling for mattresses, an alternate.
And what are we charging for mattresses now?
Well, it's just all included in scale weight.
Oh,
If
okay,
somebody comes with just
okay.
a mattress, it's $10.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
so that's gonna go up, right?
well, so if I can find, if Casella, if we can haul them out of there, then I'll get a container just for mattresses. And then we'll recycle them that way. So hopefully it'll be cheaper and it won't be $45 each.
Right.
It'll probably be like just per ton or something. So, but Dave Allen, the regional manager or something like that, he's gonna get all the info and come meet with me, so. I'll have more about that probably next time.
Should we circle back around to this in like a couple months or? a
Yeah, I
month
think
to
we
see
should.
how you-
It sounds like they're gonna be doing that pretty quick at the landfill, so we gotta figure it out, so
Well.
probably by the next meeting,
okay.
I'll have an
Well-
answer on.
Well, I think you were probably talking about the larger discussion.
Charge more money.
Oh,
Charge
Charge
more
them.
money or a
Charge
fee for.
anybody who's not in this town, more
non-residents
money.
Or,
yeah, a couple
Yeah.
months.
Well, Lions Towns.
Lions Towns,
Yeah, because we really have to allow them in.
kind of happen.
anybody.
So I figured, I mean, at least if we kept it open, you know, at least the non-members, just. I could put a code in the computer and. They don't have that color card and I hit that code and they get
And they get a
imposed.
surcharge.
Yeah,
Or they get, or would it be more expensive per, what,
Well, I
weight
can't-
for the
no.
weight?
no, because the weight is set for the scale. So in order for me
Uh,
to do a different weight, I'd have to go into the settings and change it.
but so somebody with a huge load would only be getting a $10 charge and somebody, you know, a surcharge. That doesn't, I don't like that. If they're coming in with their construction trucks, dumping
Yeah,
huge loads,
so-
it seems like it needs to be more
Or
money.
we can do a certain amount per 100 pounds or 500 pounds or, you know,
Yeah. All right. It sounds like this is a bigger
yeah.
conversation, so we'll put it back on in a.
Yep.
In a couple of meetings or so.
Good idea.
So, I'm going to put that on you now to remind me.
Yeah, now that I've hired somebody, I can stop doing 2 jobs and focus on mine.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. See you later.
Oh, you're just in time. Royalton listers.
Yes, thank you. How you folks doing this evening?
Okey dokey.
Spring, huh?
Spring is strong.
Just some clerical stuff to bring before the board. Every year, we ask to file an extension, I think June 4th or something, is when the grand list is due.
Okay,
Different towns with different sizes have different due dates. I don't expect we're gonna run behind, but it's just always kind of nice to have that in our back pocket since it has to be approved by the select board.
okay.
So you can think about that.
I mean, that doesn't really change anything for us if you get the extension.
Not really. We still have the deadlines for getting our grand list filed for the
Right.
taxation for education and all
Right.
that sort of stuff. This just kind of buys us up to 3 or 4 more weeks. Okay, the sooner they get this information, they like it. So we do our best, and the sooner we get this information and the quicker we can have grievances and our summer vacation can start. So we're motivated to.
So you've got skin in this game,
I do.
all right?
The second business is,
Is this
Something we should vote on.
something we should vote
I
on?
think so.
I think so too. So let's just do that quickly.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the extension on the timeline for the
Grand.
listers.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
The second is our townwide reappraisal. We were aiming to have it done, April 1st. Grand list this year, and it's not gonna happen, so we're gonna carry over and continue on to next year. We're gonna be using all the same cost tables, all that sort of stuff is still set up. It will just be effective in 2026 versus 2025. The state needs a copy of the contract that we're using with the appraisal firm, which is Rust or Appraisal Resource Group. And I've just taken the same contract and changed all the dates out to 26 instead of 25. And you can look this over and
So that's gonna cost more.
no, same price, because he's charging per parcel. So whether we spread it over 2 years or 1 year, it's the same.
Okay.
So you'll be using the current values when the tax bills come out this fall?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so we're kind of scrambling now to try and get those typical assessments that would be done on a non-reappraisal year done. So we backwards start cost tables to get that done. Hopefully that'll be done in another week. Then we can set the grand list and get back to.
Does that-
working on these.
Does that create any other problems for you? Like, have you, so the parcels that you've already finished the reappraisal, were those in the system and now you have to back them out, or? And this is just
No,
more
no,
curiosity.
No, that's fine. There's multiple softwares going. But really what address us is we have what's called a CAMA. It's a commercial
Yep.
appraisal software. And then we take those values and we dump them into the NIMRIC. Which figures out our tax bills
Right.
and that sort of stuff. So as we're working in ProVal, we have not been pushing those values into NIMRIC with the anticipation this is a likelihood that would happen. So all we're doing is manually putting in the NIMRIC values for the 120 parcels that have changed. So in ProVal, all those values are still there. So I want to say it's easy as switching a switch, but it never is. That's the concept.
And so, do we need to file anything else in order to put
I
it off
do.
for another year?
I
You
do, I do.
We don't need to worry about that?
No.
Okay.
I have another form that just the listers need to sign, but it needs to go with that. We have an assessor
Right,
that's doing it, that's given us the time periods that you guys get to sign off on. So there's more paperwork, but you guys don't have to deal with it.
we don't have to deal with it, and it doesn't cost us any more money.
Doesn't cost you any money.
We have an assessor, Jeff?
Yes, he's the same guy, Russ, that we've talked to. He's a professional appraiser as well. And he works where they kind of call it a hybrid appraisal with other towns where the listers are involved in doing the data collection and management. And the reality is, if we did not go with this route last year, we would still be looking at 3 or 4 years out before somebody was available.
Yeah.
to Do it. You've been
No, I
hearing
know,
all
it's-
that hassle. So
I mean,
I think we're
that's,
still in good shape.
2 years ago when I left current use, they
Yeah.
were already booking out
Okay.
3, 4
Right.
plus
Right.
years.
And then they changed how the assessments got calculated, and all of a sudden a third of the state was in trouble.
And even before that,
And even
a
before
quarter of the
assessment.
state was in trouble
You got it.
from,
And I think Victoria, did she put me down for 3 things? I was thinking I only needed.
yeah, grand list extension, reappraisal, update, and contract extension.
Okay, that's it. Perfect.
Any other questions about the extension for us? No?
No,
I'll take a motion to approve, signing the extension for appraisal resource group. To kick out our reappraisal another year at no additional cost.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 It passes. I'm gonna change this here because you have Stuart still as the chair.
Okay,
We
Don't
wanna
you
let-
wish, Patrick, don't you wish?
Man, if only, if only. It's the 13th of May already.
pleasure
There you
doing
go, my friend.
business with you folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah.
All right, Chelsea Street Sidewalk Project is up next. Can we do the screen sharing for Rita?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Rita.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Okay. Stuart's gonna try to make this so that you can share your presentation with us.
Awesome. Thank you. Got it.
Good work, Stuart.
Can you see that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Looks good.
Excellent. Great. So yeah, Victoria asked me to come and just kind of update the select board on where things are at with the Chelsea sidewalk project. It seems like it's been a while, and it has, but I'm here to kind of give you an update of where things are at. And for those that are new on the board, Rita Cito, I am the project manager for the town, and I'm the senior transportation planner at the Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Planning Commission. So just a quick recap. The project team includes Derek Kennison, who is the VTrans project supervisor, myself, up until last week, Victoria, Walter Hastings, Tim Murphy, and John Dunville. They were on the select board previously, but I believe they are remaining on the project team that I am aware of. And I did request to Victoria prior to her leaving was it would be good if perhaps somebody from the select board also kind of be on the project team, just to kind of represent the town, now that Tim and John are kind of off the select board. So I just, as a side note, so I'll kind of move forward with that. So kind of a recap of how we came to be. Back in 2019, the town had applied for a bike ped scoping grant. And so the town had hired, GPI was the consultant, and they did a sidewalk scoping study in South Royalton Village. And so they did a full report, did some existing conditions of all the different sidewalks in South Royalton, and then identified some kind of sidewalk sections, of which the Chelsea business block was kind of the top priority to look at. And so with the Chelsea block redesign was to kind of improve the accessibility to the shop entrances, improve the space for loading and unloading to access those businesses, and overall kind of improve the pedestrian walkability through that section, because right now it's kind of a free-for-all, right? So so it's trying to kind of formalize where pedestrians would likely cross with all the different parking areas there. So it's a little busy here, but I'll kind of talk through it. So with the selection of that kind of a priority component, the town in 2020, along with myself, I kind of worked with Victoria to fill out a grant application for design, permitting, and construction for the bike ped grant. And And at the time, we used the GPI scoping estimate for the project. So it was at the time a pretty significant project in terms of the scale of it. But VTrans really did like the fact that it wasn't just like a typical sidewalk section that the town was improving, but a very major kind of revitalization in a key village area. So the grant total was for about like 1.13 million. 904,000 was going to be the 80%, which is the reimbursement component, and then the town was going to be on the hook for roughly $226,000 for match. And I remember telling Victoria that year when we put the grant application in that each year following that, for the budget to kind of include a line item to kind of allocate sort of the town match portion, so that when it did come to time for the grant construction, that the town would have sufficient town match and not have to require bonding or anything to do that. So the grant was awarded to the town. As you saw with the date, we also kind of went into the COVID shutdown period, so that was kind of an interesting period. But we did select VHB, the engineering firm, and they have been working with us since then to do a lot of the design work. And then the hardest part was, well, one of the hardest parts was we finally received NEPA clearance from VTrans in 2023. Due to the project scope, it's a pretty significant block, a lot of business owner impacts just in terms of the block itself. So there was some additional historic preservation assessments on that. So we finally did get the clearance of that, and then since then we have been kind of preparing for the right-of-way process. Back in the fall, we did send out initial letters to the 12 identified impacted property owners, kind of preparing them for the upcoming deed easements that will be forthcoming. So at this time, we are still managing the right-of-way process. We are kind of, not say stuck, but we are working on specifically the railroad ownership of the Acton Place component. I know Walter and Victoria had kind of looked back at the town records for any historical deed information about the railroad company granting access to the town in regards to Acton Place. We are still trying to locate a specific document that indicates that. So VTrans right-of-way folks are on their end trying to assist us with that. So we are in that phase right now. Once we get that document, and as well the post office, once we have the go-ahead from VTrans, we can work with the town attorney to finally draft up the, most of them will be temporary easements for the property owners. And then we will reach out to them and get them all signed, hopefully. And depending on how long that takes, we cross our fingers, hopefully do anticipate going to construction in 2026 at this time. Now, simultaneously, from when we applied for the initial grant application, we had used the cost estimate from the scoping study, which at the time was sort of the best information that we had to go off of for the budget. Now, after the consultant VHB had kind of gone through the different line items and all the different historic preservation requirements through VTrans, they did provide a project update cost. You can kind of see the cost of the project has kind of almost doubled. due to a variety of reasons. Construction inflation costs, like everything else in the world right now, and then just other items that were from the NEPA requirements. So simultaneously, once the project clears the right of way, the town will then be eligible to apply for additional grant funding to kind of help supplement that. So I will be assisting the town in preparing that grant application for asking the amendments for that. And other than that, oh, so this is kind of the conceptual. If you've not seen this before, you can kind of see, I guess, starting from the law school end, you can kind of see the bump outs of the sidewalks have kind of been extended out. The intersection from Chelsea and Windsor have kind of been offset just to kind of slow traffic down. It will be a four-way stop. You can see the bump outs on the, I guess you could say the right side of, where the 802 Pizza used to be. And you can see the sidewalks, it will be extended out 10 feet from where the existing sidewalk is, to create sort of a tiered level of sidewalks there. So as you walk on the upper section of the sidewalk, pretty much in front of the stores, you will be at floor level or entrance level to the shops. And then there will be some gentle ramps that will kind of bring you down to the lower level where you can access your parked vehicles. We've also kept the loading zone in the middle there for vehicles loading and unloading to the businesses. There will also be new sidewalks on the Village Green side, as well as, new sidewalks in front of the post office. And that is kind of the conceptual of the new redesign. So.
Rita, what's the cost of this now?
It is,
What?
it's almost like 2 million, like total with like engineering, permitting, construction and all that. I did do like a quick little comparison of the budget. So I can kind of prepare of how much to kind of ask for. So I can send a copy of this to you later as well. So what I did was I utilized, you can kind of see here. So I used the scoping estimate from 2020, so what we used for the grant application. And then I compared to the latest engineer's estimate from VHB, and it kind of went line by line on the different items. And you can kind of see what was included in the initial estimate and what was not included in the latest estimate and what the difference was.
Are you talking money?
Yes. Yes. And also like quantities of different construction items.
To get back to the parking on the park side, are you bringing the parking into the park itself to offset the 10 feet that you're taking away from the parking on the store side?
No, I believe we are roughly keeping the Village Green where it is. We are shrinking, I guess you could say, we are shrinking the existing pavement area and bringing the sidewalk out from the shops about 10 feet. So we're shifting it down 10 feet, but still maintaining the parking and the loading zone and all of that. And I believe the consultant has done some, vehicle modeling to make sure, you know, trucks of different sizes can still navigate through here and have enough, you know, turning radius, and when you are, you know, you're backing up from the parking and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm still trying to figure out how much this is gonna cost us.
2 million, she said.
Yeah, I know that,
Yes,
I heard that. But we're paying consultant fees and engineering fees.
Yes, so because it's a federal grant, so you've got the design engineering to do all this work. We've got the permitting stuff. We will have the town attorney do, you know, the right-of-way easement component. When we go to construction, we will also be required to hire a construction inspection firm that will oversee the construction. And like, you know, the concrete testing and all those things. And then, of course, we have the construction contractor.
Joe, you got your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Rita, one of the things that's been constant since the beginning of the project proposal, from myself and from other people that have spoken out loud about it, is what is going to be done to gain back the parking spots lost to all the bump outs and such that are in this plan. There definitely needs to be something, and there's been ideas put out. What can you tell me about that, please?
So, from what I have heard through other planning initiatives that are outside this particular project scope, the town is looking at potentially improving and or increasing parking spots around the green through the Thriving Communities grant. So you may notice around the green now, there are traffic tubes. We just put them out yesterday. That's going to collect traffic data in terms of volume of vehicles and what direction. I know there were some concepts talked about of, you know, as a possibility, making the green, you know, one-way direction so we can have more parking and things like that. I don't know if that is a selected alternative at this point, but we're gathering data to help the town figure that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's see. So let me. All right. So here are sort of the next steps. We are working with VTrans right away on the easement components, specifically with the railroad and the post office. Once we get the okay, I will reach out and you know, have whoever the new Victoria may be connect with the town attorney to draft the easements. And then we will reach out to the property owners to get them all signed. The right-of-way certificate will be issued, and then authorization to proceed to construction. Simultaneously, I will assist the town on requesting additional grant funds to help with the new project costs. And we hope to tentatively go out to construction bidding January, February. And then obviously leading up to the construction, we can have additional public information meetings, especially for those in the business block owners, to kind of answer any, you know, logistical questions during construction.
So Rita, the increase in the price of the project, what impact will that have on the town's match?
Yes, so let me send that back up here. So here is my lovely giant spreadsheet here. And at the bottom, So you can kind of see the town matching funds component. Initially, when the town applied for this, there was some funds through the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, as well as sort of the $50,000 set aside to kind of help with the match portion. And then there's, I believe there's the Vermont Law School Betterment Fund Victoria had thought about as
Yeah.
potential to kind of help with the match. So assuming that right here, cell H111, again, this is not the final, but this is like based off the latest engineer's estimate. If the town was going to request an additional $1 million of grant money, the town match component would be roughly another 253,000, which is right here. So the current grant match is 226,000 plus 253, and so that would be roughly, let's call it $480,000.
Yep.
And so based on what Victoria had showed me in terms of what is in the current Capital Improvement Reserve Fund, the estimated years of the $50,000 contributions for, you know, the match, and then the Betterment Fund, that should cover the allocated time match portion.
Okay.
Is what is my current understanding of
Sure.
that. Obviously, when we go to construction, we will have a better sense of what the cash flow issues are as the contractor's invoices kind of come in, probably on a every 2 weeks or every month. And so we will kind of work with the town on scheduling those payments and reimbursements so they're more timely and, you know, the turnaround on that.
Okay.
So Rita, when you first came online here, you talked about some grant opportunities to fill in.
Yes, so VTrans, the same grant, they do have an option to request for additional funding enhancements. And they have awarded grant enhancements in the past because sidewalk projects, because they take so long and things happen, inevitably the project costs do kind of increase over the years. And so that is the funding source that I do plan to help kind of apply to.
But you don't have any numbers on that?
Yes.
You did.
So the grant request would be roughly 1 million. That would be the 80% portion at this time. I should have a better, an updated estimate from the consultant. But it shouldn't vary too much from this because most of the design requirements are already finalized. So as we are kind of going through right of way, so it will be very close to this number.
Okay.
Hi Rita, I'm Nell. Hi, I haven't met you yet. I've heard your name a lot from Victoria. Would you suggest us looking for any other grants that aren't, I just feel like there's a lot of walkability grants out there. Would you
Yes,
suggest-
I mean, if there are other grants that you feel would help with this, now the caution would be, you know, what is the time frame with those grants with the relation to the schedule for this one? How, you know, if it's another federal grant, can it be combined with this one? And other grant requirements. But if there are some that you feel like I should be aware of, please let me know. I can take a look at it and see how, if it's possible to kind of like piggyback and help with that.
Thank you for giving us an update.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Rita?
No.
When's your next meeting?
Our next meeting, we've not had a meeting planned yet because we were kind of like in this waiting component with the right of way. So, but I believe once we get the right of way process established with at least having, deed easement documents ready for signing, I will reach out to the landowners and we'll probably need a town project team rep with me just so that
Yeah.
we can kind of go through that together.
So is it V-Trans or who is wrestling with the railroad over the Acton Place issue?
So, a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
So Victoria and Walter did find some town records, but the right-of-way person at V-Trans took a look at the actual language and it didn't quite say that the railroad gave the rights to Acton Place. So it may be a different document that exists that we still have not found yet. So we
Okay.
are trying to look through that. We may need to contact the railroad on their end for their records as well.
Yeah,
But once that is done, we can
right.
go to the fun stuff.
No, I just wondered who was having the pleasure of trying to deal with the railroad. That's all.
Our consultant has also had positive contact with the railroad, so he has a person that has replied for that.
He may be the only one I know of then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was that budgeted in? Do you know, for dealing with the railroad? I know that the railroad charges money when you work in their right of way. And there's a fee to even just touch any of their property.
Well, the idea is that we will solve it without, so that there is an established right of way that the town can work in.
Even if it's a right of way, though, I just wondered if that was anywhere in the budget. In my experience when I dealt with the railroad, that's.
From what I understand, and I can forward there's an email chain conversation between the railroad and our consultant on just, let us know when you guys are going to construction. We'll give you the permit and things like that. So it didn't seem like it was too bad, but
Yeah, until you have the piece of paper. Yeah,
right.
okay. Well, thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now give our screen back. Thank you, Rita. Hey, we're not doing too bad. Shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, don't lie.
I know. All right, maybe we'll do these two things that involve Kip and then we can go to all the inserts in the agenda. How's that sound? So Royalton Planning Commission, I will speak for the Planning Commission and say that they're asking for Kip Bergstrom to be appointed to an open seat on the Planning Commission. And he's in attendance if you would like to talk to him about it.
Don't all speak at once, you say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't everybody jump. All right, well, if you don't have any questions for Kip, I would move that we appoint Kip to the Planning Commission, to the open seat.
I second that.
Any further discussion?
Well, just that, I appreciated that you ran for the select board and I appreciated that you, walked all through town and visited a lot of houses. And I think that shows that you are, that, and the fact that you wanna be on the planning, commission, I think you would be an asset, so thank you.
Well, we're not done with Kip, because you went to the last TAC meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you wanna give us a,
Should we
Thumbs
vote
up.
on that? We just did a.
oh, I'm
a
sorry,
motion.
you were correct. Thank you. All those in favor of appointing Kip to the planning commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're on the planning commission, Kip.
Right? Thank you.
So how'd it go at that TAC meeting?
Good, I sent you, my notes.
Yeah.
Rita did a presentation on all the pet project, the sidewalk projects around, including ours, covered some of the same ground in less detail. And I talked to her afterwards about what was really this right-of-way issue. And then I talked to Walter and Victoria. I don't think there is an agreement. There never was an agreement.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of
so they need to get an agreement.
yeah,
And I have had similar experiences to some of you, because I have a ungated railroad crossing on my land. So it's, they're slow. In the end, you get what you need, you usually have to pay for it. That seems to be their MO, they wanna get the fees. So, but if they have a consultant that has a good relationship with the railroad, then I would exploit that.
we will certainly, I'm all
There
for
was
that.
there was a couple things at that meeting. There's an upcoming workshop. That's on the general road permitting process, I think. And they're really encouraging representatives of select boards to go to that meeting. So that was something I'd highlight for your action.
For what is it? For what meeting?
It's a review of the, what's called the MRGP roads. It's the MRGP, which is I think the main permitting process for roads with V-Trans. And it's, on June 17th, 92 at the State University in Randolph. And they're, encouraging representatives of the select boards in the region to go. It's kind of a refresher on your main road permitting process. There was also a fairly detailed review of this stream stats app that helps you figure out for intermittent streams what kind of culverts you need. And I'm not sure what to do with that recently acquired knowledge, but it certainly isn't something that should be in my head. It should be in somebody else's head.
Yeah, like our road foreman.
Yeah, or somebody, right?
So now you went to this TAC meeting as sort of our ad hoc rep.
Well, Victoria was the rep and she
Right.
was leaving. And so she suggested I go. I said, fine, you know, if you want me to, or if the person who was replacing her would go, that might make more sense. I was just kind of putting my finger in the dike.
Right, well, I think we will keep your finger at the ready in case it comes up again, and we'll have that discussion with her incoming replacement and if you have interest, maybe you could be the new TAC rep.
Happy to do it if you need.
That'd be great. One more thing on the planning commission, we were awarded the municipal planning grant for the study of the Hope property. I imagine that there is something that needs to be signed for that. It was not in my little stack of papers for tonight. But I might suggest that if it's okay with you guys, we could empower me to sign it once I root that out. rather than waiting, or we can wait till next meeting, whichever makes people more comfortable.
Well, we've done this before, the signing the grant is pretty much just a formality.
Pro forma, yeah.
I think you can, I'd make a motion that you, or we authorize you to sign it.
Okay, 20 grand for the whole property.
So it's a study to see, because there's been a lot of interest in that property over the years, but nothing's ever happened. So one of the big issues, as we're all aware, here in town is housing. And it's a parcel that the town owns that has water and sewer. So it's basically a feasibility study to see, what could be done with it if we could package it, not to be, not to build it out ourselves. But if we could package it to a developer and have a say in how it's developed, present them with a prospectus of sorts and get someone involved, to do that. You know, the fire department has, once again expressed great interest in the property, and they may actually be moving towards that, so. But I don't think that it's wrong to have options. Especially for something like that.
The fire department is still interested in putting their,
That's what they have said and said again, yeah. But we're still waiting for them to produce a plan or proposal.
Yeah, they believed that years and years ago, when it was purchased, that it was for them. And then we had a study done when I was on the board for about $2.5 million to make a whole complex there with the fire and the rescue in the town, and
And
then,
boy, am I still angry that didn't go.
and then it was too expensive. They didn't want to do it that way, so. Well, at the time I was on the board, this piece of property came available, and it took the pressure off the fire department for taking their property, and here we are, and there it is.
Yeah,
I do think that the fire department probably does need something better, but it also is there's 2 acres there. That you could do some other real creative housing and other things that would behoove this community
And
and
that's-
make it advance.
yep, and that's part of what this is looking at is, because you could do both.
Absolutely. Make a nice little area.
Yes.
Little cul-de-sac in there, and
The state is asking everybody, all the towns, to come up with,
Yes, they are.
I guess it's 30 to 50 units per town. Giving preference to areas with water and sewer that are municipal. So
That would fit the bill.
Yeah.
That
it
do
really
a
is-
portion of it, yeah.
It really is one of the few parcels left in town that could do that with.
How are they asking it? Is there a carrot there?
I'm not sure about that.
Mostly stick. So, all right, so we'll have a motion. Did we have a second?
I have a second. The motion.
Any further discussion on empowering me to sign for this municipal planning agreement? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Go on to the add-ins. You wanna do the Windsor County Select Board meet and greet now?
Can I have a minute? Can we do something else for a second? I just need to step out for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Well, we've got some overweight permits there.
Yeah, I've started on them.
Did you?
Yeah, I've started on them. Keep going.
Okay, so we'll circle back to those
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the end, or do
Yeah,
you?
no, I'll try to finish them up here.
Okay. We have a street sweeping proposal.
Yeah, we're supposed to coordinate that with line painting, and have you heard anything about line painting?
I haven't heard a peep about it.
This is town line painting, or is this state?
Crosswalks?
Crosswalks in
Yeah,
town.
Town.
Town, okay.
We did not get the lines, the crosswalks painted because we tried to start it too late in the fall. And so what we had talked about previous times was getting this on a regular schedule, do it in the spring.
The painting, oh, both of it.
You gotta do the
Yeah.
sweeping before you do the painting, so. Otherwise, you're painting dirt. So that's kind of what I was asking about it, because
Done.
they should go together. Or be fairly close together.
No, absolutely. Well, I think that was the impetus for getting this quote, because this is not the folks that have done the sweeping before. Because, this outfit will actually give us a time, a date, when it's going to be done, so that we can coordinate the painting. So,
But it's not on there.
no,
they
I
gonna
don't,
do the
they're
painting?
they're not gonna do the painting. They're just gonna do
The
the
town,
sweeping.
the
Yeah.
town crew's gonna do the painting?
We're supposed to hire somebody. To do the painting.
They've done the painting in the past, the town crew has.
Who has? Yeah.
Yes, they have. For a number of years.
But not the last couple of years, it was
Right.
another, but we're not on a regular schedule, which is one of the things that would be really nice to be like. May before the law school graduation, street sweep and paint.
Yep.
You know, and if it's set up to go, it's already in the process.
And you're not gonna get it this year because graduation's this weekend.
This week.
Yeah,
But
can't do it then.
if we get it started, maybe we can get it back on track.
Well, and I think, again, that was the piece for these folks, is that we could actually set it up that way going forward. And then also, if we wanted the town crew to do it, and we had a relative date certain every year, we could tell them this needs to be in the schedule. And it needs to be in the schedule at this time. So,
The town crew's done it in the past, I don't see why we couldn't just have them do it.
yeah,
Unless you guys have an idea of somebody some
No.
company that does it, but.
And they have the equipment. The town has the equipment, at least they used to have it anyway, when I'm on the board. We could certainly talk to them and see if they had the equipment, you know, the right patterns and things to get her done, and they get traffic control, they know all about that.
Well, if we can do that, I'm all for that.
Anything to do a little less expense.
yeah.
And to get the same job, that's what we're after.
So this proposal, what do we want to do? Want to table this for now? Would you like me to reach out in the interim and see if we get an idea about timing, or?
What, I missed the first part, what
Okay,
is this?
oh,
What's going
I'm
on?
sorry, this is a proposal from a street sweeper.
Yeah,
And not the outfit we've used in the past, because with them, we just said, we need them done there,
Right,
and
right,
they're
right.
like, great, and then they just
Yeah.
show up in the middle of the night one night,
yeah,
and they do it. Whereas this outfit, is willing to.
a little more expensive or something?
It's
Is
a
that
little
why
more
we're talking
expensive,
about it?
but a little more expensive, well, it's also different, a little more expensive, I think, but also will tell us when they're showing up.
Yeah, sounds better.
And then it gives the highway department a chance to get their act together, cause they'll know ahead of time, then they can plan
Right,
for the painting and, you know, watch the weather and see when you're gonna get a good day and a half or something
and get it done.
and get it
Let's
done.
try to do it before, high school graduation then, huh?
I don't see why we can't. Go ahead and.
Book these guys,
Book
yeah,
these guys,
book them
book
and
them,
then,
Dana,
and then get the town in there to paint.
that's for you.
I
Is that-
move that we, call up Norman's sweeping and set up a date with them as soon as possible.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Now, I,
Aye. All right,
And then we'll have the town crew.
and then
paint
we'll
the
have the
lines.
town crew paint the lines.
So Larry, you'll talk to them, huh?
tomorrow,
Okay.
Beauty. Now that you wanna have a couple minutes for the Windsor
Oh, yeah,
County
yeah, yeah.
Select Board meet and greet?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Bob and I went last, on Thursday, to Windsor. And the Windsor area select board, a lot of select board members were there. I think Two Rivers hosted it, and it was really cool to hear from other towns and what they're doing. And it just made me think, because remember I had asked about like dates about neighboring towns and their meetings and that I'd like to go. I think that it would be, I think it could be beneficial if we sort of initiated for select, the towns of South Royalton, Bethel, Sharon and Tunbridge, select boards to maybe get together. I think it could be beneficial, just to share some ideas and to share some, sort of, I guess we could, my idea would be to put together a potential agenda after reaching out to the boards and seeing if they're interested. Talk about like, what they might be doing with their police force, what they might be doing with their road crew, or if they have, if there's something coming down the pipe with, a potential, shared, equipment. I know that's a stretch, but just ideas, just some ideas if I thought I would just bring it up with you guys, and if you guys thought it might be a good idea, then I would start reaching out to some other towns.
We've done that in the past, years ago, especially with Tunbridge and Sharon, not so much for Bethel, but there's no reason why we couldn't.
I thought Bethel, because Bethel is now, we're so intertwined with our school
Cool,
system.
yeah, makes
Yeah.
good sense.
So, not that I think of anything specific, although I do want to talk to Beth because that came up for the Bethel,
Yeah.
the policing sort of thing.
I imagine we're facing a lot of the same challenges, so.
We're facing challenges that, maybe there's ideas out there or, overlapping things that could, Tunbridge, I just talked to Gary, who's on the
Mullen,
Mullen, that's right. Gary, and he, Tunbridge has a grant writer that they paid money for a grant writer, and he said, oh yeah, they said it would cost us the first year, and then it would cost us, a little bit less the second year, and by the third year, we'd be making money, so they have a part-time grant writer. I just wonder if there's other,
Mhm.
other towns we might want to share, a grant writer or a finance administrator, that kind of thing. I mean, future down the road, just and also as a way of like, hey, we're neighbors and, hi.
perfect.
I
like
think
it,
that's a
I like
great
it.
idea.
I liked it before. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
gotta keep at it and make it worth their time, and you learn a lot. But talking to the other towns, they don't all do things the same. And if we can take something away from what they do and we can offer something that we do, and it's very beneficial, in my opinion.
I'd include Barnet in that too. They're one of our border towns.
Yeah, and we shared road duties with them during the last flood disaster we had.
It was a good meeting. Nell did a good job representing us. And I learned a lot, I don't know about what you felt about it, but there were a lot of good ideas. Because everyone's wrestling, like you said, Patrick, with the same issues.
So I think
Well, maybe if you
you
guys,
start poking around the
yeah,
edges. and-
I'll start sending some emails and seeing if, and I would potentially suggest it would be on a Tuesday night. I think a lot of other boards do Tuesday night meetings as well, so. Something, I'll let you know at the next meeting if I hear,
Yeah.
if I get any,
Just
if
if
I
it
get
gets
any
any traction.
responses, yeah.
And then we can go from there. I mean, if you don't
Right.
get responses from everybody, if you can-
Right,
just a
right.
couple towns wanna do it, then
Okay.
that's That's great.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is it done?
Yes, sir.
Take a motion, to accept the overweight permits that Larry has reviewed
I
and
make a
signed.
motion to accept the overweight comments.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Overweight permits done. Police Department, Bob.
I've had some interesting experiences lately. I've had a chance to talk with Patrick and, Laura, about some of the things that I was concerned about, and I'd like to just, I'd like to talk about what we talked about. I'd also like to say, that I think that people in this town have a nervousness about the safety in this town. And it's not anything that I've experienced, because when I grew up here, if you were not doing what you should be doing, a mother called your mother and you were talked to at home. You didn't get away with anything. And I think it's totally different now. I have a hard time figuring out exactly what's happening here. But we have certain areas of the town where drugs seem to be an issue. We have people that stood up at a safety meeting on Saturday, whenever that was, that I went to. Loretta was there. And we're accusing Loretta of not responding when they called. And then we have a group of people or some people that were broke into their house, and I think while they were there.
Correct.
Yeah. You know, I have a problem with what's going on here. So I think, you know, what's gonna happen, and I know a lot of my friends in this town, you wouldn't wanna break into the house, simple as that. You wouldn't wanna do it. But rather than have a bad situation happen, I would like to address the situations that are going on now. I know that, we have a safety committee, but it's hard for them to do anything. It takes a select board to take an action to do something. The one thing that I've said to Loretta, and I think needs to happen in this town, is that she needs to be more visible with her police officers. They need to be around, they need to be open, and people need to see them. Two things will happen. People will feel more safe. And the second thing that will happen is, hopefully, the people that are causing the problems will not be so aggressive. And I think, and I've asked Loretta to look at, to tell me exactly what patrols she has or when she has them. I think that, you know, it's important, if we have a police force, and I think we're spending around $550,000. We have cruisers, we pay for equipment, uniforms, training, insurance. Then I think that the people need to be able to see them and understand that they're there. And if you do that, I think it'll help with people feeling better about the safety in their town. I came into town one night, I'm trying to think. It was the night after the Windsor County meeting. And I decided to drive around town just to see what it was like later. I live up on the mountain and I don't see the village very often. So I drove around, really quiet, no police cruisers. But there was a group of people by the church. So I stopped my car, parked it, and went over and talked to them. And I sense that there's a real feeling of not being safe in the community. And we've got to do something to stop that. We've got to make people feel like they are safe and that it's okay. So that's my thought. I'm gonna think more about it. I've talked to Loretta about it. I guess I'm the kind of person who wants to see action. I don't want to sit back and just say it. I want to see it happen. So that's my concern. And I'd like to meet our police force, Loretta.
Yeah, I think we have,
I'd like
we have
them to come,
discussed that.
yeah, I'd like them to come to a meeting and I'd like to meet them and know who they are. And I hear from people at different times, I guess because I grew up here, I think that there are people who I've probably had in school and taught, parents who were parents of kids that I taught. I was a selectman before. There are people that look at me and try to get me to help. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not always sure that what I'm hearing exactly the way it is, but I'm willing to look into it and find out. So my feeling is that we do have a safety issue in town, or at least we have people who feel it's not a safe place. And I personally would like to do something about that.
Well, I think we are absolutely not alone in that feeling. In terms of folks not feeling as safe as maybe they once did. And, you know, if we have any concrete suggestions on how we can help with that, that's great, but you know, the issue I see is that the overwhelming majority of this is driven by drugs, and seeing a police cruiser is not going to make someone who is desperate for money because they're on drugs any less aggressive or any less willing or able to do these increasingly aggressive things to get that money. So I understand it's a problem. But I don't know that it's that simple as having the police be more visible, but you had your hand up, Beth.
Thank you. So about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago, I felt exactly how you feel right now. Because prior to October 23rd, 2023, I felt safe in South Royalton. But on that night, at 1 o'clock in the morning, when my house was broken into, my husband fired a weapon at the person breaking into the house, intentionally missing him, and he still tried to come in. And he threatened to kill everybody, kill my family, kill my children. My child heard that. I no longer felt safe here. And for the last year and a half, I have been working with Loretta, with the state police, with the select board, with the state's attorneys, with legislators who will talk to me about what we can do. Because I also want action. I don't want to sit around and talk about it. I don't want to complain about it. I want to do something about it. And it's not as simple as exactly what Patrick just said, but it's more nuanced than that's not gonna help. Because I've been told recently from the state police, and Loretta and I have been in so many meetings together, and she devotes so much time to this community, even when she's not on duty. Where they did say that there is a hard to quantify benefit to having a public safety committee and just constantly running your mouth about safety. It's hard to say what that looks like. Does it look like the fact that nobody's gonna come by my house anymore because they know that we're gonna call the police and shoot them. But,
Shoot them and call the police.
well, yeah, call 411. But,
You don't have to put that in notes.
yeah. That'll be in my criminal trial, but anyway, but the reality is that these folks aren't coming into town really, right? Cause you stopped and you talked to my church group that was just coming out from their Christian history class. The reality is what happened in Bethel. They're hiding out in houses and people from Connecticut, folks from other states are coming up and giving them drugs, and then in moments of desperation or mania, which is what happened that night at my house, they come down. And so now they've left my area, but now they're over in Bethel. And we collected survey results, and I just wanna share this with the select board and let you guys know what I think needs to happen is, and unfortunately, I wish you guys could change it. I wish the select board could do something. And if I do think you can do something, I'll be the first one here telling you,
Yes, we
you
know.
need to do this. But I don't see anything that you all can do. I mean, Loretta's doing a good job. I think we need more officers. I don't get into her patrol schedule, so I'm not gonna speak to that, but I do know that the reality is we're luckier than Bethel because we have a police force. They don't. They have to pay Windsor County Sheriff and they get as many hours as they pay for. And that's a long distance. If there's an emergency, you're getting VSP. That's what we got that night, not because they weren't doing their job. They weren't working. We don't pay for 24/7 policing in Royalton. We just don't. So if you want 24/7, it's gonna look more like 1.1 million, not 500,000. That's what Windsor has. Well, maybe they don't even have 24/7, and Windsor's budget is over $1 million.
The town of Windsor.
Yes, for law enforcement, for policing. And I would rather live here. I wouldn't wanna live down there. So I guess we could throw money at it, but the real problem, the real solution is Montpelier needs to change some laws. That's what needs to change. And we can't do that here. All we can do here is encourage our neighbors who are gonna vote in a way that we like for public safety to run for state office. That's it. We collected surveys and over half the people that were there, so this is 30 folks, have been victims of a crime. That's a lot for South Royalton. And when you look at crime statistics nationwide, we are the lowest of the low. We are the safest community to live in. So we're just intolerant of any kind of public safety risk, but we are a very safe community. You know, I come from Chicago. This is not that. But any threat is unacceptable to me. Almost everybody who answered said they feel less safe now in our community. And the number one issue by a wide margin is catch and release bail. It's not lack of law enforcement or lack of mental health or school safety. In fact, schools were seen to be almost as safe as they were 10 years ago. Schools are doing fairly well, at least in the mindset of our residents. People would support more funding for law enforcement. Here's that graphic. The orange is the yes for more funding. But a lot of people wrote in things like, if you keep people locked up, because there's a misconception that Loretta can control how long someone stays in jail, which she cannot, unfortunately. Asked if we believe, this is more of a social question, but do you believe Vermont incarcerates too many people? No, was the majority answer. Do you believe that neighborhood watches are useful? That was 50-50. So we're gonna talk about that at Old Home Days with our neighbors. We're gonna have a booth. Stuart's gonna hook me up with some games to get people to come over there. And we're gonna talk about who wants to have a watch, because some not everybody's like me and has a big mouth. Some people are quiet and they're afraid and they don't wanna do a watch, cause they're afraid. They think that their neighbor will retaliate against them. So that was an issue that came up that I didn't anticipate coming out, so I thought that would be a good idea. And what's the obstacle? Number one, justice system's inability to hold repeat offenders. Number one obstacle. And then number two was lack of funding for mental health and substance abuse counseling. So we're gonna make this survey available. Stuart's helping me putting the survey on the town's website, and we're gonna encourage more people to answer this survey. This is linked to my Zoom account. It's a paid account, so it'll stay up forever until I close it, and it does the statistical analysis for you. What we need to do is we need to go to Montpelier, and we need to go with Bethel and Tunbridge and Sharon. And we need to be noisy. And the next step we're gonna do is I'm gonna get a letter out to our elected state officials and say, this is it. You're either gonna meet with me or I'm gonna campaign against every single one of you. And maybe it'll just be me out there in the rain, but I will do it. That's what we need to do.
It's true.
The last thing, and this sheriff said this, and it's been sticking with me, and I really think this is true, is something I'd never thought of, and that's a connected community is a safe community. So everything you guys are doing, everything the rec commission is doing, everything the churches are doing, that's making our town safer. If we get back what you had when you were growing up here, when moms knew and disciplined their kids, we'll be a safer community. If we help our neighbors out, if churches are able to be in people's lives more, that's how we're gonna make this community safer without the help of any change in Montpelier. So that's hard to say, okay, select board, make us more connected, but that's it, I think.
Well, having been a principal in Rutland County, right next to Rutland, I can tell you that in the school I was at, I dealt with a lot of drugs. And one of the things that helped me get that school under control was I had assemblies constantly. I was told when they went there that not to have an assembly with the kids because they're out of control. First thing I did was call 600 kids in the gym and have an assembly. I also laid down the law, exactly how they were being treated and what I expected out of them. And then hired a resource officer for the school. When I hired a resource officer for the school, the drugs went out of the school. The kids related many of their problems to the resource officer and actually trusted them. And probably that was one of the best things I ever did in the school. But I dealt personally with drugs and with the kids. And I worked really closely with the police department and the drug task force in the state. I had the number of the person that ran the drug task force around Rutland County. I called them every chance I got. If I got any inkling that there was a house full of drugs someplace, I let them know. So there are things you can do, but you have to be active. And I think going to Montpelier, like that's what I think.
Mhm.
And I think you don't just take a few selectmen, you get all the selectmen around the state and you tell them, everybody show up. Everybody up there is gonna listen when they see their selectmen come in the door. If only a few go, you don't really have a chance to get their attention, but you get the majority of the state selectmen to go on one day and you'll get their attention.
I think that's a great idea. I don't think the majority of selectmen, or some of them at this point are gonna be mayors, right, you're talking about, are all gonna agree with reforming bail. which is the number one issue. And I do think that that is not hot button, but it can be a divisive topic, especially folks that have a law degree and moved here from somewhere else, you know, like me. Those folks have, rightfully so, a love for our Constitution that has been used to afford greater rights than we used to have to people during pretrial detainment. But, and so I think that would be challenging, but I'm up for the challenge, and I respect that other opinion, and I have no problem sitting in a room with people and debating them intelligently on that issue, because I know the history now of pretrial detainment and what it's looked like and what was bad about bail at the turn of the century and in the 20s and 30s and 40s. There were some issues, and what's wrong about no bail right now. But I think the thing that I learned from the state's attorneys, because I didn't have an appreciation for this, because I'm older, is that the drugs that are out there right now are just different.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read The Odyssey. Did you ever read that book?
Yeah, I have,
Homer, yeah.
but,
Do you remember the Lotus Eater Island?
Yeah.
That is what the Windsor County State's Attorney equated fentanyl to. Literally allowing your babies to starve at your feet while you get high,
Right.
because that is how powerful this drug is. So
I
that's
had-
hard to combat,
I dealt with kids in school with that.
yeah.
Um,
Well, these are the adults.
well, the kids,
Those kids grew up and now they're the adults.
Well, Beth, I really applaud you for taking action. Like, I like how you said that, like, instead of being a victim, you're like seeing like, how can I do something about it? And I really love how you're getting, like, making these meetings happen. And it just made me think like maybe you and I should get together if I do get these other select board
Yeah.
members to say, like, yeah, we'll come, then maybe
Yeah.
you could be on the agenda.
Yeah.
And so that, I'll talk to you about that later if
And I
you don't
have
mind.
great contacts in Bethel.
Oh, yeah,
They're
okay.
very
They were
interested in
in you,
the
yeah.
safety, because of our schools, 'cause we're,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm. And actually, that reminds me, at this meeting that we went to, I forget which town it was, but you're coming up with your resource officer. Gosh, I wish I could remember that. I think it was Heartland.
Hmm.
They spend a ton of money, for the rec department. They put all their money into the rec department versus, or up a lot compared to the police department.
Huh.
And it almost is like that money, what you said, a connected community,
Yeah, I
That-
didn't say it, the sheriff said it.
that money spent on the rec department. Really, like, first of all, they were making money back on all their programs or whatever, but, so it didn't cost as much money as the police department, but, it was a good balance for them. They found a really good balance of,
100% support that, and I'm not gonna join another committee, but as a mom whose son plays rec ball with your kids every year, it would be great if the rec program was more robust. It's not affecting my family, but it is affecting other families in town who can't access things, and that's just not fair, because these kids.
So when you say more robust, Beth, is it not enough programs or not, or the programs cost too much or?
Well, it's the coordination of the programs that I'm seeing right now, and maybe it's we need to hire somebody and pay them to coordinate, and as opposed to just our, volunteers, which is, I think what the rec committee is, just volunteers, right?
They have a, it's not like a,
yeah, $8,000.
yeah, it's not a
yeah.
big position, but they do have a director that.
It's just, and I think, I'm only speaking for baseball, cause that's all that he plays with rec, but I think that if you went to the field tomorrow, where we're all gonna be, and talked to the moms, you would hear frustration and also elation and joy that we're out here watching our kids play baseball, because we love it. But you know, we go to Sharon and they have an awesome scoreboard. And, you know, Nell and I are like, we're just gonna Facebook Marketplace this and buy it ourselves. Like, we can get an awesome scoreboard for our boys. It's just stuff like that. You go to Tunbridge or Sharon and they have like a little food stand. And the kids just love it. And there's no reason why South Royalton should just be a field. And, you know, our neighbors should have hot dogs, which sounds like nothing, but it is a huge deal for an 11-year-old. They all want, and then, you know, the parents are all like, who has money and all of the, like, we could really kind of think more intentionally about that, so that it's not just about baseball and who makes majors. Is that what it's called? All-stars? Whatever. Who makes all-stars, which is really like the end all be all, and more about creating like a real experience for our sons and daughters, you know, let's have a budget so every kid gets a ticket, so if they go, they can all get food. Cause some kids can't get food and some kids get food. You know, and then some kids can bike down and get to the practices and other kids can't find a ride.
Yeah.
It's just silly stuff like that, that honestly, I think if you let the moms loose, we could solve these problems, but we don't wanna step on anybody's toes either and be like, I'm in charge of this now, because, you know, other people are in charge of it, but baseball and I heard soccer could use, I had women say, well, we were told it was full. And I was like, no, we need more people, please come. And then they joined later. So it's a lot of.
But also just a bigger rec department, right? You could get childcare for more
Right,
young families who are struggling. And what is that quote he used there? It was like, idle hands are the devil's, you know, whatever
Workshop.
that. Really, it's a religious quote, but you know, if you keep kids like engaged in your community and busy and like working towards something, and we might not see an instant reprieve from crime, but like it would have an impact down the road on maybe on how they grow up and what they choose next.
I think it's really important, and I do think it improves safety,
And it does take time.
and it takes time. Yeah. Come to our next meeting. And we're we're doing old home days and some other stuff.
Hey, I just thought of this too, but I don't remember, I was on the planning commission for a long time. But did we have a public safety? Do we have a public safety section in our town plan?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I have a page in the town.
you have a page. I don't know, Beth, maybe that's something that
No,
you
not
guys,
town report to town plan.
town plan, yeah. Yeah. not
Oh,
the
I don't
town
know,
plan.
I'll look online.
It might be something, a place for
Yeah, I could draw.
another
something.
angle to address.
Yeah, I think, I encourage all the conversations. I think this is the only way we're gonna solve this, is by being creative. There's not just one path to solving this. This is an octopus. We need to control all the arms.
One thing's for sure, nothing happens unless you take some action.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Good, you know, John O'Brien is our rep. We've never had him in here since I've been here,
Yeah,
but we gotta have him in. I've already talked to some legislators up there about the bail thing.
okay, we
And,
should talk.
huh?
We should talk. I wanna know who's interested. Somebody has to sponsor a bill.
Well,
I
I
can't
wouldn't
do
say
it.
they're all interested, except when they got done talking to me, they understood that I didn't agree with them.
Yeah, then that's the trick, is.
Well, I think, you know. The only way that you change anything is that you take action to change it. And if you don't, you can sit back and talk all you want, and nothing happens.
I
You
agree.
have to take an action.
So I had this crazy idea and I can't do it, but I'll just put this out here, cause I told my husband and he was like, that's what you would do? So I said, if I had unlimited money, there are 2 trailers for sale in town right now, one by my house and one on Moses Lane. And I said I would buy both of them. And I would put them in a trust for Royalton PD. And I would give them for free to a full-time officer, as long as they were on the force. And then they would have to live in town. So they were always in town, which is how they do it in Chicago. And they would get free housing as part of their benefit package. My husband was very disappointed. I didn't say we were gonna go to Montana or something like that with our money, anyway.
You wanna live down there?
No, I wouldn't, but I would want a law enforcement officer to live down there. The perfect location.
Well, I think we started the conversation, I just want. You know, I have my own ideas, I think Loretta ought to be more visible, I think that's important to people. They need to feel, people in the town need to feel safe, they feel safe if one of you or your officers are around. If they don't see you, you know, they wonder where you are.
Well, you're gonna see them this weekend, that's for sure. Cause they're gonna be downtown all day. For graduation, yeah, and they're downtown for the Christmas parade. And
Old
Old
home
home
days
days,
every year,
right.
pretty much all 3 days.
I never noticed, now I notice all the time. But we should talk about what you mean by that, so you should come to a public safety meeting. And we can talk about what you mean by patrolling. And really getting into the weeds, which I know we don't want to hear, cause we all wanna go home, getting into the weeds of what else they have to do. Because there are some things, I'll just give you a preview, like warrants, affidavits of
Oh, I
probable
understand
cause,
all that.
right? And so those things take time too. And then how many officers, and I don't know the answer to this, how many officers are on duty?
What are their
Ever?
shifts?
What are their shifts?
When do they work?
Right. And so all
There's
of
questions
those.
I have that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Loretta could, it's not a secret, she could give those all to us. But let's do that at our meeting, we can sit down so that, you know, and then you can report back, or I can come with you to the next select board meeting and we can see what changes, you know, you suggest to make, but
I think this group right here can make decisions.
correct? That's
So,
my understanding.
and they can be very influential in the town if they start making decisions.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a big committee person, not that I don't think your committee's, you know, important.
Well, you have to come to the committee to get the information to come here to make a decision. Right?
No,
Well, okay,
I get a lot of information from people in this community.
well, you have to get this information from only one source though. This is not information you can get on the streets. You can make an appointment with Loretta and not come to the committee, I guess you could do that too. So,
I don't, you know, I don't mind, but I'm right now, I'm a pretty busy person.
Yeah.
But I got, I do talk to a lot of people in South Royalton,
I'm sure you do.
and I get a good understanding about how they're feeling, and it's a good cross-section of people.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes you don't listen to the people that need to be listened to. And so instead of not listening to them, they turn out to be your biggest headache.
Mhm.
But if you just took the time to listen to what they had to say, sometimes they offer a good opinion about things.
Well, to that end, one of the gentlemen that spoke at the meeting about his car. He's coming with us up to Montpelier, because he came to our meeting. And I thought he was gonna talk about his car again. And Bruce Tuttle. And I have his number, and is that how you say his name, Tuttle? Yeah. And I'm going to call him when we go up to Montpelier, because he wants to come with.
Good.
So. There's only one thing, it's an ordinance already, you guys should look at it, I talked to Nell about this a year and a half ago, a year ago. There's an active ordinance about, what is it?
The nuisance?
Yeah.
Public nuisance.
Yeah. So if there's a piece of property that is meeting that definition, you can send your public safety officer, is that you? And they can give a warning, clean it up. The trailer that was causing the problems, or those people were living by us. I would say is a public nuisance. It was so bad that the neighbor had to spend their money to put a fence up, so they didn't have to look at the trash and the rest of it. The town could start using that ordinance.
I've had people up on that Avery Lane,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking.
they've talked to me.
Yeah.
And they've talked to me about. People in the community that they're nervous about walking up and down their road.
Yeah, yeah.
And. These are people I didn't even know. But they approached me and talked to me about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't like what happened to you.
Yeah, those are my neighbors.
Yeah.
10 days after that happened to me, they had issues up there with the same person. He was walking with a loaded crossbow, 3 o'clock in the morning, knocking on people's doors. He's in jail right now,
Mhm.
so. Hopefully.
But there are some other spots in town that
Yeah,
make people nervous.
but you're not gonna get Royalton PD patrolling at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I'd like to know what the shifts are. I don't even know what the shifts are.
Well,
Do you have 2 people on the same shift?
we have 2 people on, they overlap a little bit, but not, we usually have just 1 person patrolling. Like I said, Anna works Sunday through Wednesday. Sunday is 8 to 6. She works 12 to 10, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I work. Usually it's 8 to 4, 5, 6 sometimes, I mean, 8. But, depending on how long I need to be here, it varies from day to day. But I'm usually Monday through Friday. Oscar is Wednesday through Saturday. His shifts vary because he tends to get into things and have some days are longer, and sometimes he leaves a little early, so he doesn't have overtime. But he's here from, Wednesdays is his, because him and Anna are both are on that day, he's here from 5 or 6 in the morning until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, so. Depending on,
Do we have somebody on duty from, let's say, 3 o'clock to 10 o'clock?
3 AM to 10?
No, three
Three.
in the afternoon to 10.
Yes, yes.
Only Monday through Friday though.
Well, yes, usually Oscar's 8 to like, or depend on, cause he works 10-hour shifts, so if he comes in at 10, then he's here till 8.
Does he work 4 days a week or?
Yes, him and Anna work 4 days a week, 4 10-hour shifts, so
Are the weekends covered?
for the most part, yeah, I mean, the 10 hours, yeah. Right now, we don't have any part-timers that work, shift, like, straight shift. Currently have an ad out for part-time officers. So that's one of the, when we lost Sean, he was doing a lot of that, picking up with shifts, but. Like Sunday, he came in and did some highway safety, did traffic, so. So he'll pick up a shift here and there, but.
So
he's
we
got
have, we have somebody working on the weekends.
Yes.
But not at night.
That's during the day?
It varies, like I said, Oscar could be here till, depending on what, he's been here till 8, 9, but like, if he's 8 or 9, he's probably tied up with a warrant or an arrest or something like that. But so.
So if you think about it, you got 1 officer on duty and dispatch calls them, then you have 0 officers for everybody else. Well, Loretta's here, right? So then Loretta has to go out. So now if you have 2, which, I mean, it's not like it's, a big city, you need that many calls, but that's all they can do. All they can do is what 1 person or 2 people can do in a shift. Some calls take hours. Hours, not, 5 minutes. And so, I mean, I don't know, if I were to look at that, I'd wanna collect some data. How many calls, how many hours do the calls take? I think dispatch has that data. Maybe. And you can look at like, I thought that they used to report to the select board and say how many calls they had.
I mean, I gave my data, I mean, it's not like timed like that. but
Yeah,
I gave the number of calls and.
and so
Hey Beth, can you? Sorry, am I interrupting your train of? Can you tell me about the public nuisance ordinance again? Remind me of like, I can think of two spots right now. That
The benefit of it is that you can impose fines, right?
we
And
can right
so
now.
You can right
impose a
now
fine.
impose a fine. And I think it's set at $100 to start. And then if the fines are not paid, eventually, you can put a lien on the property. And if that lien isn't paid eventually, although it's a homestead, but the two properties that are causing the most trouble are not. The two properties that are causing the most trouble in last I knew, are grandkids using grandma and grandpa's property. Grandma and grandpa live in a different town, locally, but not there. So that property can be seized, because it doesn't fall within the homestead exemption. Or foreclosed would be a better word. I think that's a real deterrent. You're gonna lose your property if you allow your grandchild to deal drugs and trash up the place and cause trouble.
Yeah, I mean, because property value for neighbors is like, other on these specific, and I'm not even talking about necessarily drugs on a couple of them, but.
But over by you, also, there were issues.
Yeah, I mean, but we could send Loretta if there's specific, what's the parameter of a public nuisance? Garbage, trash, tires, collecting, Zika?
No, the definition in the ordinance is a physical condition or occupancy, so trash or people of any premises or property that is regarded as a public nuisance at common law, which is a legal definition, so you would then, I'll give, the classic example is a pig farm. And somebody had to smell the pig manure and had flies. And this is in Ohio, but anyway, this is one of our land use cases that you first learned. That was considered a public nuisance, even though nothing actually touched the other person's, the fact that the smell wafted over. So. Or any physical condition or occupancy of any premises considered an attractive nuisance to children, including but not limited to abandoned wells, shafts, basement, excavations, unsafe fences and structures. Or any premises that has unsanitary sewage or plumbing, or any premises designated as unsafe for human habitation, or any premises or property that is manifestly capable of being a fire hazard or manifestly unsafe or unsecure as to endanger life, limb, or property, or any premises for which plumbing, heating, or other facilities have been permanently removed or disconnected, destroyed, or rendered ineffective, or adequate precautions against trespassers have not been provided, or any premises that is unsanitary or littered with rubbish or garbage. And there's a lot, you guys, whoever wrote this made a lot of options. Any structure that's dilapidated, decaying, faulty construction, damaged by fire. Those are all the definitions. So anything that.
Pretty broad.
Yeah,
Pretty broad,
like
yeah.
you could. And then if something is, the inspection official has to then say, this is a public nuisance under ordinance, health and sanitation nuisance ordinance, right? Once it's been determined to be, then there's a hearing.
Okay.
And after the hearing, there is a $50 fee for residential properties and a $100 fee for commercial properties. And and that is just for the inspection. And if you are found guilty of this, it's $100 per day until you rectify what is creating the public nuisance.
Don't you have a time to remedy that, though?
You do in the hearing, it like will establish it after the hearing, so you would have to have a hearing officer, I assume you all would be the hearing officers. And there would be findings of fact, and then an order, and a time to cure it, and then if you refuse to cure it, it would be $100 per day each day until paid.
Okay, thank you.
And we have used it in the past when people have made complaints about properties.
Right. I think they did something like this with the guy that owns Slate Ridge. You know, do you guys remember that in the
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Very informative.
Yeah, thank you, Beth.
Sure.
And thank you for putting a positive spin on it in parts there anyway. So,
I think we're in good shape, but you know, we could be better.
yeah. I just mean in terms of the talk about connectedness and all, it's like, it's not just. Not all bad news.
No, I really believe that will solve a lot of, I think a lot of people that, you know, I think they wanna be connected and they don't wanna be drunk or high and lose their kids. They just don't.
They can't stop.
The sad part of this thing is you get home and you read the paper on Thursday nights, oh my gosh, they just arrested a lot of people for drugs. And the next day you see them on the street.
That shouldn't happen.
Shouldn't have.
Yep, that is a problem. Only Montpelier can fix that problem.
Right. But I think you're right, there's a good tie-in for the select boards working together and trying to
Yeah.
make
maybe then we can
make
get
our
Tom
voice,
O'Brien
make our
to,
voices.
There's
make our
a
voices
knock on
heard.
his door. Just sit there.
All right, back to the boring stuff. We have an audit engagement letter.
Thanks, Beth.
Okay.
The this is Tyler that spoke to us about the audit not that long ago. This is his firm. And this is an engagement letter just to keep them on again for the next year.
So you need a motion,
I do.
and it's you that sign it, just you.
It's just me.
Yeah, I make a motion that Patrick sign the engagement letter.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's great.
When's that gonna start?
Well, it's for the fiscal year. So it'll start on July 1st. And
That's when the fiscal year ends for the town, July 1.
yeah, June 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gonna start right after that.
And when it begins July 1.
Broadbrook abutment grant reimbursement request. We all need to sign this. This is so we get our money back for, well, not 500,000.
It's in the warrants.
Is it 500,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is for FEMA to give us our money back from spending it on that.
Not FEMA, this one was this is the state emergency
Oh, yeah, right,
bridge
right, bridge
replacement.
replacement, right.
Fund.
The whole, or is it 625?
I think it's the whole thing. I think it's 625,000 is the lump sum payment. Yes,
Yeah, I just saw it.
It's under, yeah, I'm still finding the deeds.
It's 625 to Daniels.
625, thank you, Rita. Yeah, so it's 625 Daniels, which is what the invoice is for the lump sum. Yeah, that's the same thing right here. Yeah. So. I'll take a motion for all of us to sign this, or I guess we can just sign it.
I'll make a motion to sign it, everyone. for everyone.
So what? Is this for the grant or is this for?
This is so Vermont will pay Daniels for the work,
Oh.
because this was an emergency bridge replacement, and the state has a grant program just
Yeah.
for that.
Or Rita, don't we pay it and then the state pays us? Yeah?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So we're gonna, oh, yes, because it does say reimbursement, so this is our.
Yep.
This is our reimbursement, it's $625. Any further discussion?
So we pay it. We pay what the bill is and the state reimburses us for it.
Right,
Because Victoria applied for, got it organized ahead of time. Right when it happened.
Right.
And, got it all set up to go through the Vermont, emergency bridge.
right. So we haven't actually paid for it yet, but we can just pass this money through.
And we're gonna get reimbursed for it.
Right,
Right.
that's
For
what
the-
she's
for the whole-
requesting.
For the whole $625, yeah.
Are you, yeah, Rita must have gotten a request. Or.
Where's the $625 coming from?
The state,
Yeah, but we're paying it.
Out of our highway budget.
Okay.
Yeah, out of our highway budget, comes out of our highway budget, then comes back into our highway budget from the state, once we get that reimbursement.
How long does that take, you know?
I don't, actually.
You mean before that state cuts us that check? I don't, Rita, do you know that? About?
I do not.
Well, everything at the
We don't
state seems so speedy, I bet we could count on it really soon.
We don't have much choice. We have to pay the bill.
Sarcasm.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm.
We got, no, that's okay now, yeah. And the terms are, yeah,
I'll sign that. Let's go. Let's get this-
All those in
get this show on the
favor?
road.
All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed? Scribble on that one. I gotta scribble on this one.
I mean, and that is the tricky part, to be paying attention and someone who keeps good track of the money coming back to us from these grants, and that's what, you know, Victoria did such a great job with, is like having her eye on the fact that we have, you know, $500,000 from this project, you know, 600,000 from this project, all like my brain would blow up if I had to like keep that close track of things. But,
These grants are already awarded, right?
Yeah,
The money's already there in the state.
So after you're done signing it, make sure it gets sent.
yes, ma'am.
Can we bring it to Rita?
Good.
Can we slip it under your door, Rita?
Yeah, put it with the warrants and I'll take care of it.
Thank you, Rita.
You're the
You're
best,
welcome.
yeah. Speaking of warrants,
And will we accept the warrants? I've reviewed them. Anyone else wants to?
I think that on
Those get signed too.
what are those?
little star.
Those are the, unpaid ventures.
You know, I mean, there's
So,
some trucks, like
Those are-
Wyatt, I guess that's what it costs, so to maintain trucks.
Did,
I don't know, there's
The maintenance budget.
did you
has
get
been
anywhere with
Maintenance
blown
budget.
Wide open.
why the trucks were in the shop?
The one that I was telling you about, I thought had the exhaust missing and was it stopped working down in Hartford Village and they sent Sable and Sons to work on it and or to pick it up, and they took it to their shop and they said, no, they couldn't work on it for a week or two, so they continued on with Lucky's for the weekend. It was on a Friday. And they went down on Monday morning, they took off, and I don't think it stopped since. So that one I don't know, and the other one was a hose on the engine, number 17. And that was over, I forget where, on North Road, or was it Johnson Hill or somewhere?
Johnson Hill, I think, yeah.
Johnson Hill, and they, yeah, then we just had to go down to Claremont or Newport, down to Reed's to get the hose and put it on, and away it went. So far as I know, I think they're all going at this time.
Yeah, well, there were some repairs down there. like $2,400, and that was the truck that towed. And he doesn't say anything about what happened or anything like that, so I.
Was it just the bill from Sables? That doesn't
No,
make
it
any
was
difference. Oh, it was from them, okay.
Yeah.
That's what, I gave you the information that Debbie gave me. If he didn't give me correctly, I misunderstood.
I think there was one from Sable in there too.
Yeah, I reviewed the equipment, maintenance for the year, and it was astronomical, to keep the trucks going, crazy.
Yeah, the maintenance budget this year
Yeah,
is not,
crazy,
yeah.
absolutely out of control.
Well, this
I
is,
think the other one was Lafayette. That was an expensive one.
Yeah, why does it say Lafayette Highway, but it's Sherlock Road guardrail? That's what I was wondering.
company.
Oh,
Oh, I thought it was Lafayette was the name of the road.
So no,
that we
that's
have.
the.
How much,
Right.
how much was that one for?
8,685.
Okay, that's what they put the bill in for, okay, yeah, that's what it was.
You know, up to this guardrail point right here, I think we should, I know it's late, I know we all wanna go, but. I know Tunbridge recycles guardrails. You know, and we do have a major guardrail problem, I mean, Back River Road, I see it every day
Yeah.
sinking deeper and deeper, and it's doing no. It's
So
not working at all.
It's a speed bump at this point.
Right, or maybe a ramp to
Yeah.
shoot you out into the White River a little bit further. But I think we should, it would be nice if we had some direction as to how to proceed with the guardrail situation a little bit more thoughtfully than just buying. In fact, I think this was used guardrail that we're buying used
We
guardrail
are.
to put,
It was,
to replace our used guardrail.
no. It's not to replace there was no guardrail there.
Okay, in this section, okay, yeah,
But
you're
it
right.
is used and it was a cost saving measure.
Right, and I'm fine with reusing but we did pull up guardrail and we did give it away to Tunbridge, who reuses guardrails. Instead, and it was just gonna be scrapped. So I think it would be, I think this is a conversation that we could save money by reusing some of these guardrails that I don't think, I mean, I'm not obviously a professional guardrail person, but I think they're more like just sunk into the dirt and the embankment rather than trashed. I don't think some of them might be.
Sometimes they get bent and they probably have to have a machine to straighten them. But if you can reuse them, that's what this company does, is they reuse them when they can, and if they don't,
Mm-hmm.
then the only option is to get new.
Well, okay,
But I think what she's talking about is.
Use it when we can.
Allegedly, when we replaced some guardrail. Our guardrail went to Tunbridge, who was going to reuse it.
Yeah.
And a
Makes no sense.
very good question is,
Made no
yeah,
sense.
why are we doing that? If Tunbridge can use them, why can't we?
yeah, that's my question, and also we just need to, have a little guidance as to which places we're gonna replace on a yearly basis. We put that in the budget to do guardrails on a yearly, if we put money at it yearly, but we should be a little bit more proactive about which section is getting replaced and looking at it a little bit more closely, and I don't feel like
Didn't Tim go out riding with somebody from Two
Yeah.
Rivers or something, doing,
They're supposed to do an inventory
yeah,
they never did. I think it was always in the,
in the works.
like, we should do that.
Stuart, he's okay.
Yes. Rita, can you tell us about this delinquent tax? I guess it's a payment. Can you tell us why?
It's from Thunderbirch, who owes a large amount of back taxes. He paid by credit card, This is cutting a check to Teresa to process for the delinquent taxes. All delinquent taxes that are paid by credit card, I cut a check to Teresa to process. We're gonna get it back.
Is this like the 3% fee that credit cards charge or something like that, you mean?
2.65%, yes, yeah. He eats that, we don't.
Okay.
Payroll. That means.
Yeah, I mean, we're signing warrants for payroll again, but you know, I start to look at them and it's really, I feel like I signed it, but, I don't know. I feel like we should have more eyes on payroll
Where's
as
the rest?
well.
Somebody got this out of order.
Probably me, because I looked at it and then.
Well, there's two
steps. It should be a page like this on top. Top pages. There it is.
Oh, I guess I missed that one.
I haven't signed any of them.
I'm going to assume they're all here, but I.
Just need to sign all those. So we're as good as we can be on the warrants?
Yeah, I didn't see any problem, any issues.
One more spot. Right on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, again, back to the
Yeah.
warrants, the issues that I see are the fact that we should be, I think we should. Somebody should pay attention to the time sheets. But I signed it because people need to get paid, but.
Yeah, who reviews the time sheet?
Well,
The road foreman.
Allegedly, the,
town
yeah,
administrator believes that.
Yeah,
She doesn't
Well,
review it, no, that
no,
was never
the-
her job,
no,
Or you never did
the
it.
department heads are supposed to
yeah.
review them, but,
when it closes to us.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine, yeah. So we need to come up with a better solution. Or maybe our incoming administrator can be tasked
Or-
with actually reviewing them.
Or the department heads need to be accountable.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it isn't up to us to say whether that person worked 32 hours or 40 hours that week.
No, but if the timesheets are so vague and unspecific that you can't even tell. You know, what they've done with those 40 hours
And illegible.
and illegible,
Yeah, exactly, but.
I mean, we could use some of these. Suspect. Timesheets. As examples, we could copy them and have us all look at them and.
Yeah,
Build some examples of what's going on and what's not going on, and then discuss it with the department head.
I think it could be something for review time,
For what time?
review.
Yeah, which is
Coming up.
coming up. That's an excellent point. An excellent point.
also, I just get worried because we don't have Victoria. You know, and we need better documentation of roads. And, you know, culverts, like, are they getting cleaned? Are they, do we have any documentation of which ones are getting cleaned? And I think things are falling through the cracks. I keep bringing it up, and I don't know how to, I don't know what else to say. I don't think it's getting done properly, and I think we should, I
I
think it
think
should be
we all have
addressed.
felt that there is accountability that's not being answered. Which plays into what you were talking about earlier. I don't know if you still wanna try to do that tonight.
It's late. If you think you got the immediate problem handled, that's fine with me for now. I probably will not be able to be here at this next meeting,
That's too bad. Well, perhaps,
or we can talk about it tonight, executive session if you wish.
we can do it then, or we can do it at the next meeting that you're at, cause I think your specific example needs to be discussed.
Can you let the rest of us know what you're talking about?
We'd have to go into executive session.
Okay,
I'll say,
We'll say what?
I'll say, stay.
Okay, so first, let's do this then. Let's approve the minutes.
make a motion to approve the minutes. In the last meeting.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. And it's approved. Other business would be going into executive session, because that way that'll be the last item. We can cut you loose, because when we come out, I will just tell you what time it was and what happened at that point. So
Why are we going in?
personnel issue. So I take a motion,
Bye.
to go into executive session.
I make a motion to go executive session for personnel issues.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
I,
Yeah, stop that recording.
Should I send these to when they're typed up?
Yeah, I guess you could send them to me.
Patrick.
You can designate somebody else.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, the three that were behind me, do I need to write down who they were, that they were at this meeting?